One of the things that I think makes One Rental at a Time a special channel is we have attracted the top 1%. We have Beth Traverso as the top 1% agent for the country. She happens to operate in King County, aka Seattle. And I like to check in weekly just what's going on. We obviously know interest rates are roughly 7%. King County is a expensive market. So, Beth, is inventory exploding, days on market exploding, no transactions? What's going on?
Hey there. So first of all, thanks for having me back again. I always enjoy this part of my week, and it's great to reconnect with you and everybody. So thank you for that. Yeah. So we're in the middle of the summertime here in this greater Seattle area, which for us is typically a slow time of year because the weather is gorgeous and people are out enjoying it. And usually in a normal year, our spring rush would be over and people would be situated enjoying summer before they head back to work and school in the fall. So this year everything was different because rates went up so much around this time last year was right when rates were skyrocketing and it was like hitting a brick wall at 100 miles an hour. And this year, so what that did though was like we've talked about so much on this channel is how it created a inventory shortage where a lot of sellers aren't selling because their rate is so low with their current mortgage. And so we're not seeing the inventory. So even though demand might be down, the inventory is down even more. And that's propping it up. But we never got our spring rush. So
I have bad news, Beth.
like, wait, we thought we were going to have options and we didn't, and we still need to buy. So what do we do now?
Yeah, Beth, I have bad news for you. If I'm right, you're not going to have a spring rush next year either.
Yeah.
This is going
You
to
know
be a
what?
month.
I don't think so. I was trying to think. I mean, I don't do that much projecting and predicting, but it sure isn't shaping up to be a spring rush next year.
No, it's not coming.
I can't even predict when that's going to happen again, but it's not probably going to be this coming spring.
And just to be clear, at least what I'm referring to as spring rush is the supply. That's kind of the missing link to this whole story. So it's not coming next year. Thankfully, I've been calling that for quite a while. It may not even come in 2025, but that's too far for me to talk about. It's not coming in 2024 because again, your market, it's January, right? January is when the party starts. Dude, January's like 4 heartbeats away.
I know. Like I don't want to think about that right now, but yeah, it is, so I'm not ready for that, but you're right. You're right. And I'm not seeing it take shape. So inventory is still incredibly low. It's interesting though, that what I have seen this last week is fewer. For a little while, we were getting bidding wars again, and we still are. I mean, I just had one on a listing, but not as many. And I'm seeing the ones every day. I watch the solds in my buy box, which is my little area of East King County. I watch it. I probably check in on at least 5 times a day. And the solds coming out this week and last week too, but they're selling for average a little bit under list.
Oh,
which in our area might be like $20,000 or so under list, which for us is little if you're talking about over $1 million typical price. Right. So a tad under, with some houses exploding higher, but so it's actually pretty balanced right now. So the good news is, if you are a buyer right now, your chances of having to be up against 5 other buyers is probably not that great, unless you're looking at which is good for buyers, right? But if you're looking at entry-level homes, that's where I'm seeing it just be, I mean, honestly, it's brutal, but the word that comes to mind is brutal. So I just went under contract was right in that entry-level price point, and it was extremely active there.
Can you say how much it went over? Are we talking 6 figures over or not quite?
No, it was listed for 550, and I can't say how much until it's closed, what exactly went down.
But not 100.
No.
Okay.
But the people the offers that were the best were extremely competitive offers, meaning doing all the things that are hard for a lot of first-time buyers to do, and we don't necessarily recommend it, but that's what the seller is going to choose. So
of course. Well, there's 2 things I want to poke at this. One, you brought this idea to me, I want to say it was 4 months ago. It's almost like a donut, right? Where you have a couple of entry-level homes, nothing in the middle, and then you have what I'll call luxury. Has the donut, I don't know what, closed up, or are you still seeing that kind of vacuum of nothing in the middle?
I'm seeing the vacuum still. There's very little in
Wow.
that middle tier, which is the
It's the
majority of the
move up.
homes.
Yeah.
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 And the low end ones, it doesn't matter what they are, they're selling really fast. Just, a lot of them are selling for people want to build on them, or they want to
Yeah.
tear them
They want
down,
the
build
lot.
something new. They
Yep.
want to, and there's multiple buyers for that. There's investors out there buying those for often for cash, and they're not necessarily the type of investors like we are here. They're not really cash
Yeah.
flow is just kind of like, all right, there's that, but that's not why they're buying it.
Sure.
And then there's the first time buyers that are just want to get into home ownership,
Yeah.
and it's tough for them. I don't want to give people some hope though, that there are, if you watch the market closely enough and you wait for these little lulls, because what I'm seeing right now is maybe the start of a lull for August.
Hmm.
And if you wait, if everyone's off playing and you can catch a little bit of a lull right now,
Yeah.
you might find that one that you don't have to compete for. You gotta zig when the others are zagging. That's just how it's always been.
I couldn't agree more. The other
Yeah.
thing I wanted to just throw out there, and again, you're a top 1% agent, so you would hear it, plus your network would probably tell you. Robert Schiller, economist, part of the Case Shiller Index, um, he actually proposed an idea, and I talked about it in the Daily Financial News, but I knew I was talking to you today, so I wanted to ask about it. Something that he postulated is, buyers knew that rates were going to increase. So sometimes when that happens, it's called you basically are pulling demand forward. So I'm curious, over the last 6 months or so, have you gotten a feel from the buyers that they were in such a rush because they thought rates would be higher next month, the month after? Did you get any of that sense, or maybe not?
I have not been hearing that from the people that I have been working with, clients I've been working with, or other agents that I've been networking with. I haven't noticed a big trend in that.
Yeah.
It seemed like if the panic time was last year when people saw, because I don't think people that are looking now that were looking, it's been around this high
Yeah.
6, 7, but for a while now, it's not new news. And that's part of the
You're
thing
right.
about the Schiller deal is it's old news.
Yeah.
It's always interesting. And I always look at that when it comes out, but it's always far behind.
Yeah. They
So
they just reported May. It's now
yeah,
almost
May,
August.
I'm trying to remember May. That was a while ago, so we're going
Yeah.
into August. We're looking, yeah, we're right now. I don't not getting any sense of that.
Yeah.
And
So
I don't
then the
think
other,
people necessarily feel it's going to spike to 8 or anything like that. I mean, we talk about it's always possible, but probably
yeah.
not.
Yeah.
So
So the other thing that I think about, because when you think about it from an economics perspective, I think Robert Schiller postulates an interesting idea. One of the reasons we saw the run up is because people feared higher prices or higher rates, which really mean higher payments. So they rush. The other thing that I think about is the marginal buyer. So we are, for all intents and purposes, 7% mortgages today, which I think heading to August causes a slowdown, a lull, to use your word. I believe, and I believe you and I have evidence of this over the last year, that rates matter. And if we ever got to 6% again or 5.99, because we have evidence of that like 5 months ago, that is going to unlock a wave of demand, what's called the marginal buyer. But unfortunately, it does nothing for supply. So what do you
yeah,
think of where does the marginal buyer come from? Is it the lower rates?
the lower rates for sure. So I mean, I do believe if it goes down to low sixes, even like people are going to jump off the sidelines and jump in, and we will see more competition on these listings, which means prices will not be going down. And I'm not always a cheerleader. I always call it like it is.
Right.
I know that a lot of times people will see a real estate agent and think, well, she's always going to say it's going to go up or whatever. But I do,
No.
I work in the whatever market, I just respond to whatever the market is what I do, up, down.
Yeah.
But I'm not seeing any indicator that would bring that prices are coming down anytime soon, because sellers that are locked in at the 3 to 4, and then even it goes down to 6, I mean, granted, people's urgency will increase over time. There will reach a breaking point where people are going to want to move regardless of what the interest rate is. I don't know when that's going to be.
Yeah.
It's not like it's going to happen all at once either. It's going to be a person, it's individual. Each person's going to decide for themselves. They might hang on to a house that they're not really uh comfortable in anymore for a year or two, but eventually they're going to be like, we want to go. We want to
Yeah.
be somewhere else. We want to be in a bigger house. We want to be in a smaller house. We want to be somewhere not here. And that will win out as time goes on. And especially if their equity is building and they want to access that equity,
Yeah.
that may be what gets some people up. But it's going to be a longer trajectory. Like you were saying, I don't think anything is going to shift quickly on that. I'm not seeing any sign of that. There's still a lot of the sellers I'm working with are people that are moving out of state or out of the area. They're dealing with a death or a divorce or something like that where they need to sell.
Yeah.
So people that are often selling here, buying cash elsewhere, they're not interest rate dependent.
No, they're making a move for different reasons. So
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, I have to tell people what I think is coming is good for investors, especially the ones doing the work. We always want a slower market. 7%. What I'm doing, again, steal it if you want, is looking at 30 days on market or greater. And I'm writing disrespectful offers. The sellers have the right to say no, but I also have the right to ask because I'm only going to write a great deal. Beth, if somebody wanted to work with you in King County, or better yet, get a referral from a top 1% agent, how should they do that?
Yeah, so people can connect with me through my website's the easiest way, BethTraversogroup.com. Or you can find me on social media at Beth Traverso, Instagram, Facebook, etc.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks.